We now continue with our beloved teacher, Grandmaster Huxley's book, Existence of God is Self-Evident, Esoteric Study Group. Before we start, let's invoke for divine blessing, shall we? Put your hands on your heart. To the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, we humbly invoke for your great, great blessings. Thank you for divine light, divine love, divine guidance, help, healing energy, and divine protection. Thank you for blessing us with a loving heart, intelligent mind, and a powerful will, so we may serve God and serve others. We thank you. To our beloved and respected teacher, Master Huxley, Lord Mahaguruji Meiling, all the great ones, all the spiritual elders, all the holy masters, to all the saints, archangels, holy angels, spiritual helpers, we thank you for your great, great blessings. In full faith. With gratitude, with great respect, take a deep breath. With tremendous love, take a deep breath. We thank you. Just be still. Just inhale, exhale slowly. Make yourself super, super receptive. Okay. Maintain your awareness. Slowly open your eyes, open your hands. Focus on your crown, your hands, and your feet. We'll chant Om, as we always do, to flush any negative thoughts, negative energies out of our system so we can focus more on the teaching. Alright? So focus on the crown, chant with me, verbally. Om. Be still, be aware. Your entire body is hollow. All your chakras are super receptive. Just be super, super still. The divine energy from God passing through all the high beings, passing through our beloved teacher, Master Huxley, passing through your higher soul, passing through your 12 chakras, entering your crown. With the blessings of God, with the blessings of our teacher, Master Huxley, Mahaguruji Meiling, your crown chakras being cleansed, your forehead chakras being cleansed, your ajna, backhead chakras are being cleansed, your throat chakras are being cleansed. Your front and back heart chakras are being cleansed. Your front back solar plexus chakras are being cleansed. Your front back liver chakras are being cleansed. Your front back spleen chakras are being cleansed. Your navel chakra is being cleansed. Your meng, your kidneys are being cleansed. Your sex chakra, your perineum, your basic chakras are being cleansed. Your knee chakras are being cleansed. The soul chakras are being cleansed. Your armpit chakras are being cleansed. Your elbow, your hands, the chakras that are being cleansed. You're under a waterfall of beautiful light. All negative thoughts, negative energies are disintegrated. The brilliant divine energies disintegrate all negative thoughts, negative energies in your chakras, your channels, and your subtle bodies. The divine energies pouring down to your entire body now. All negative thoughts, negative energies, any kind of cords, negative cords are dissolved, disintegrated, properly disposed of. You're under a waterfall of divine light. All negative energies are disintegrated, extracted, expelled, and properly disposed of down, down, down into the earth. So be it. Just be receptive. Om. Om. Om Namah Shivaya. Disintegrate all negative energies, so be it. Just be receptive. Just inhale, exhale slowly. Just be still. Make your entire system super receptive and conduct with the spiritual cleansing energy, purifying energy. Just be super receptive. You may slowly open your eyes. How do you feel? Much lighter, I hope. Okay, why don't you get up and do some shaking? Release all that, some of the stuff that's still oozing and coming out. You shake it off your system. Good. Just, rotate your eyes, move your neck. The same simple exercise. Just do a few of them. Just to shake the excess or the dirty energy out. Okay? All right. Have a seat. Let's continue. So, if you can, please pull out your book. We're on page 32. Now, we covered this last time, but we want to elaborate more on it. On page 32, number 9, it says, Principle of Omnipresence. Based on inner experiences and experiments, consciousness travels infinitely faster than the speed of light. And in all directions. One experiences a certain degree of omnipresence. Different levels of consciousness travel at different speeds. Although the broadcasting tower is in one place, the signal is omnipresent within a certain radius. The radius of the omnipresence depends on the power of the broadcasting tower. God is omnipresent, the soul is omnipresent up to a certain radius depending on how much spiritual power it has. Alright, let's do this again. So we talked about this before. The reason it's called enlightenment or illumination is because the real us, the real you, the real me, is basically a being of pure light or pure energy. So just imagine if you light a candle, you turn all the lights off, you see the candle flame, right? If I didn't have the candle, let's just say the candle flame is floating in the middle of the air, just like in the middle of the room with no candle below. What direction is the light radiating? It's going this way, this way, this way, this way, in all directions. So if you look at it with your regular eyes, you go, oh, okay, I see the candle here, and you just relax. Once your eye, you're able to adjust to the darkness around the flame, you start seeing that actually the flame is not where the light stops. It extends a little further, and then to a certain point you cannot see it anymore. Now, if you were to look at the dark area completely, just look at it there, and then slowly look at the candle just a little bit, you start seeing a little more because your pupils are expanding. In other words, it's just like the camera, more and more light is able to go in. So you'll notice that to a certain extent, that light continues almost indefinitely. So within that space where that light is radiating, the light is omnipresent. In other words, it's inside that space. The light is inside that whole space. So it's omnipresent within that radius. All right. Now, imagine you have a camera that is night vision. So if you have a night vision camera, you look at that candle and you keep going, night vision is supposed to amplify whatever existing light. If there's no light to amplify, there'll be no light, right? So if you keep going further and further away, you'll notice as you keep going with the night vision camera, you could still see that there's still light extending. So what we say as the soul being omnipresent within radius, what message you're saying, is literally when you do your meditation, some of you start experiencing that you are actually filling up a certain space. Now, the way Master explains it is like a TV or a radio tower. So you have a tower like this, and it radiates light, it radiates the signal to a certain radius. So let's say you live in a city, you have your TV and radio. So any TV or radio within the signal range of that tower, all of us will have the same thing. So essentially that information is omnipresent within this radius. Now if you're outside, let's say you travel to another state, another city, another country, well, it cannot broadcast that far anymore, right? So that means you're outside its omnipresent space. That is the meaning of it can be omnipresent, but because a lot of people say omni means everywhere, everything. Yeah, within a certain space there's a limit. Of course, it gets bigger and bigger. So in the case of God is omnipresent everywhere. That's why there's a saying, God is in everything there's God. Okay? So this omnipresence of God is reflected within us. But with God being omnipresent everywhere, we're omnipresent within a certain space. That's what Master Cho is saying. Now, how far that omnipresence goes on our level depends on how much spiritual energy we have. So when you do your meditation, your spiritual practice, so much divine light is coming in, you have so much energy, your chakras are so big, then that means there's so much energy that consciousness, the aura, your consciousness can expand a lot further. That's what it means. Okay? So let's continue. Now, God is omnipresent, the soul is omnipresent up to a certain radius depending on how much spiritual power it has. Now, spiritual energy is needed for expansion of consciousness. We're now on page 34. Spiritual energy is needed for expansion of consciousness and traveling in the inner worlds. Stillness and awareness are not enough. No spiritual energy, no expansion of consciousness. Spiritual empowerment or Shaktipat is transference of tremendous spiritual energy to enable the consciousness of the disciple to travel to the different levels of the inner world. Okay. Spiritual energy is needed for expansion of consciousness and traveling in the inner worlds. Let's go a little deeper on that. Okay? Now, if you have the book, Achieving Oneness with the Higher Soul, or originally it was called Meditations for Soul Realization, there's something very interesting that is just simply in the introduction. It's not even in the body of the book. It's just the introduction. All right? So, let's go through it. The different stages of soul realization. The first stage involves the soul, intellectual understanding that you're the soul, a spiritual being of divine intelligence, love, and power. All right? You're not the body, you're not the physical body, nor the thoughts, nor the emotions, not even the mind. Let's just jump over. So the first stage is, I hope most of us are already there, at least there's an intellectual understanding. You and I understand, hey, wait, this physical body we have is just like this garment that we're wearing. It's like the human suit, if you will. Like you wear a suit. So like the soul is now in a human suit. And that human suit contains the physical body, then the body of emotion, which allows you to feel emotion, right? That's the emotional suit. Then you have the mental suit, the mental body. So you have physical body, emotional body, mental body, that allows you to act and feel physically. You have emotion to feel emotions, and mental body to experience thoughts. All right. So the first stage is, hey, at least I realize the body, the emotion, the thoughts are not the real me. So that's just the first stage. That's why Master Joe said we should not be proud. Just because we understand and memorize the book does not make us illuminated, because there are different levels of illumination or enlightenment. First, we just realize, hey, I'm not the body, the emotions, the thoughts. I'm the soul. I'm a spiritual being using this body. Okay, that's good enough. That's not enough. That's just the very first stage. That's kindergarten. So the next stage is what? Experiencing oneself as the soul during meditation. The yogi or the meditator may experience not being able to feel the physical body as though it has disappeared. Haven't you noticed sometimes you meditate, you go, wow. You feel like you're floating in space. You start not feeling the chair anymore. You don't feel like your body anymore. You just know you're there, but you don't have any physical sensation. You're aware that you're in that certain space, but you don't have physical sensation. So you start realizing, on an experiential level, you are not the body. It's beyond just understanding it intellectually. You are experiencing it. So that's the next level. Then you might experience an out-of-body experience. The soul occupying and manifesting in other stellar bodies of light, and be able to travel at speed faster than the speed of light. Okay, what exactly does that mean? So some of us, when you meditate, oh wow, you realize you're floating in space. Then, at some point you realize, how come you don't see a physical body? At the same time, you're experiencing that you're traveling in something, like a spaceship. But that spaceship is made of light and it doesn't have a form. It's just like you're traveling through something. It's just like you're traveling in the inner world in a suit of light. Okay? So at that point, you're using the astral body. You're traveling. So that's the experience. So you're beyond the understanding of you're not the body, not the emotion, the thoughts. You're experiencing you don't have a body. Then you start experiencing, hey, not only do not have a body, but if I wanted to, I could travel anywhere, traveling in one of these bodies of light. Okay? Now, It keeps going. With further development, the yogi might experience realization of the nature of the soul. The nature of the soul is basically that of a being of light. What does that mean? So that's what we're talking about, where you have the light, the candle. You experience the light going everywhere. So at some point, you're experiencing that, hey, you are actually a being of light, and you're experiencing not only that you don't have a body, you're experiencing you're in the middle of outer space, like blank space, like a vacuum. Well, almost. But at the same time, it seems like your entire being is interpenetrating the very fabric of that emptiness. In other words, you're meditating like this. Oh wow, it's still, it's quiet. But you don't realize, it's not like you're feeling your brain or your body. You're experiencing like, I'm also here. I'm also here. I'm also there. I'm also there. Up there. Down here. It's like you have full 360-degree vision. It's just like you have eyes everywhere in every direction, and you're processing all that information and seeing everything at the same time. You understand what we're trying to say? So that's probably one of the reasons why, if you see some of these deities, you notice some of the images of the Buddha Kuan Yin. Okay, the Buddha Kuan Yin, Bodhisattva Kuan Yin, she's the mother of compassion. So as a mother of compassion, she's supposed to be able to hear everybody's cry. So some of the statues you've seen of the Buddha Kuan Yin, she has thousands of hands and thousands of eyes. So that's a certain level of omnipresence. And of course, since she's the mother of compassion, to be able to grant wishes, the hand, you have thousands of eyes to see people suffering and thousands of hands to offer help. Okay? Now, let's move on. Then it says, the third stage in soul realization is the experience of the incarnate soul having union with the higher soul, and there's no separation. So at that point, you're experiencing not only that, oh, I'm not the body, not the emotion, the thoughts, I'm the soul. You start to experience like, this is still not the real me. There's still more of it that I'm not aware of. So you start to experience, how come I'm experiencing that I'm actually a being that expands even further than what I thought originally. So you start to experiencing that you are the soul, you start experiencing you are the higher soul. So when that interface happens, it's just like your small computer, you're working. Oh wow, I can access a lot of information within my hard drive, within the network, within my office. Then you tap into the internet, you go, whoa, not only is my experience or existence is within my office network, I can also connect with this much bigger one, this bigger network called the internet. It's just like the soul. You're the incarnate soul. Wow, I'm not the body, not the emotion, not the thoughts, I'm the soul. Then you start becoming still, you go, whoa, I'm also the higher soul. At that point, it's just like the whole new world opens. You're experiencing a bigger expansion even. It's just like going from your laptop computer, where your hard drive is your world, then you start experiencing the network of your office, then you start experiencing the whole internet. Like that. And that happens if there's a connection, an interface. So between the incarnate soul and the higher soul, once there's an interface, it's just like, it's bigger again. Alright? Anyway, the rest of it message goes on to say that there's no separation between the incarnate soul and the higher soul. And then on the next level of spiritual practice, you start experiencing oneness with the divine spark. So we talked about this in the previous lessons. Master talks about the incarnated soul, the higher soul, and the divine spark. Okay? So first part is experiencing that you're not the body, not the emotion, not the thoughts. In other words, you are not the human suit. Okay? So at that point you feel a freedom. You go, wait, I'm feeling expansion. Then you start realizing, wow, I'm also a greater being, the higher soul. Then as you become more and more of the higher soul, you start experiencing this higher soul came from another source, which is even greater. That's a Paramatma, or the divine spark. That's why in the book Spiritual Essence of Men, if you remember, the incarnate soul is Ein Sof Ur, the infinite light. You remember that? So essentially, just like we talked about, if there's a candle and the light, it is infinite light to a certain radius. Remember that? So that's Ein Sof Ur, limitless light. So this next one, it has to come from an infinite source. So that's Ein Sof. Okay, no limit source. So that incarnated soul comes from the higher soul. That's the source. But this source, strangely enough, has to come from somewhere. So Ein Sof Or is the incarnated soul. Ein Sof is the higher soul. Ein, or pure nothingness, is the divine spark. So we covered this in the earlier lessons. God is nothing, not a thing. It's pure energy with consciousness. So this pure energy, or sunya, nothing, or in Chinese called Kong, Kong means nothing, is God. The Paramatma, or the divine spark, is completely one with God. So in our meditation and spiritual practice, we try to rise higher and higher, not physically higher, but higher in the sense that we're experiencing higher rates of vibration and consciousness. So that's what Master Cho calls, and a lot of spiritual teacher calls, God realization. Realizing that you're not the body, you're not the emotion, you're not the thoughts, you're the soul, and you start experiencing this soul is actually part of the higher soul, which is part of the divine spark, which is part of God. Alright? So, going back to the lesson, spiritual energy is needed for expansion of consciousness and traveling in the inner worlds. We talk about the soul traveling. But in order to do that, it takes lots of spiritual practice, lots of good karma to be able to do it. Now, if you want to speed up the process, like fast forward, well, no spiritual energy, no expansion of consciousness. Spiritual empowerment or Shaktipat is a transference of spiritual energy, tremendous amount of spiritual energy, to enable the disciple, enable the consciousness of the disciple to be able to travel to different worlds, different levels of the inner world. Anyway, essentially, to summarize, what Master Cho is saying is this: in order to do all these things to quickly go to experience the higher soul, the divine spark, the expansion of consciousness, it can be speeded up when the teacher gives transference of spiritual energy. Boom! It's just like, instead of a small battery, okay, the light bulb is this bright. You put a bigger battery, it can go further. You put a nuclear reactor, it goes like that. So a Shaktipat is basically the spiritual teacher giving a blast of energy, so this way. Okay? So in Shaktipat can be given in many ways. Many different teachers do it differently. Some teachers do it with a look. So when they look at you, you look at the eye of the teacher, boom, there's an expansion of light. Some teachers, if the student needs a physical touch, because there's still, what's the word I'm looking for? Attached to the physical body, no physical sensation, the mind has difficulty comprehending. If the mind have difficulty comprehending, they doubt. When they doubt, there's no absorption of energy. So the teacher sometimes, in order to do that, okay, boom, they hit you or they touch you. So sometimes that's necessary. But if the student is super receptive, sometimes just meditating on the teacher, they get Shaktipat. They get the spiritual blessing. So the question is not the teacher. The question is really the conductivity of the student. It's just like electricity. You cannot conduct with rubber. You cannot conduct with plastic. So they use copper wire. But if you want superconductivity or higher conductivity, use gold. So the question is, what level of conductivity are we? So a lot of times we say, well, yeah, the teacher gives Shakti, but he gave me a stronger or weaker one. The teacher is constantly radiating energy. I remember Master Cho said before, the teacher is constantly radiating energy. It just depends on our level of Sharanagati, our level of spiritual conductivity. Okay, now let's continue with the teaching. Now, when verse 11, inner stillness is not the ultimate objective. It is just a stepping stone to greater inner activities, which manifest as partial functioning of intuitive intelligence and higher intelligence, illumination and or expansion of consciousness. A disciple may experience oneness with the brilliant light and expansion of consciousness. Alright, let's talk about this a little bit. Inner stillness is not the ultimate objective. It is a stepping stone. Alright, let's try this. You see, a lot of times we made the mistake like, okay, I'm experiencing stillness. That's it. That's the end result. It's not. That's why some people, when they get fixated on the stillness, they hit the ceiling. It's something like this. Okay, to make it simple. First, when you meditate, what do? You sit still, you try to position your body in such a way that it is motionless to a certain degree. That way you can go inwards. What exactly does that mean? You see, being still physically is not the end result. It's just the stepping stone. By being physically still, okay, next you start experiencing some of your emotions moving. Okay, so from one kind of stillness, the next one is you start having some activity. Then what do? You try to calm your emotions. Calm your emotions means what? The emotions going like this, like a typhoon. You go, okay, boom. So emotionally you're calm. So from one stillness, it's a stepping stone to activity, which is emotions moving. Then you still that. Then you do what? That's not the end result. Then you start noticing your mind, your thoughts moving. Right? Thoughts are moving. Then you say, okay, the next thing is stilling the mind. So you go from physically still, you're experiencing greater inner activity, which is the emotions. Still that, calm that, and you go, Then the mental faculty, thoughts, still that. And as the physical body becomes still, the emotions become still, the mind, the mental faculty becomes still, you start experiencing blissful sensation, and there's some stillness. So very, very still, very quiet. Physically, emotionally, mentally, no movement. Then you start experiencing expansion, like something is opening, and there's more light. So that again is activity. So from there, you become still, be aware of the light, and you start to experience there's even more brilliant light. You see what I'm saying? That's what he's saying. Stillness is not the objective. That's a very big mistake. If you say, I'm happy, I'm able to be still for 5 minutes, that's just the stepping stone. It's just like you have a ladder. It's just the first step. Okay? So don't be content. You see, spirituality is constantly and relentlessly searching for God. So don't be happy, okay, I'm still on quiet. Okay, that's good. Next step, next step, next step. That's why these teachings of the teacher are so important. Master Choa is giving us so much information. A lot of times we get stuck with the form. Okay, I bought the books. Well, the question is, have you read it? Number two, after you read it, do you comprehend? Next, after you comprehend, do you practice? So we're constantly moving upward step by step. You do not get satisfied and say, okay, I'm here. I know I have the books. No, it's not good enough. Next, let me study the books. Next, do I understand the books? Next, do I practice the teachings? Am I experiencing the effect of the teachings? So from stillness, more activity, stillness, more activity, stillness, more activity. You keep getting higher and higher. So spiritually, you're evolving. That's the meaning of evolution. All right, let's move on. Now, inner stillness is not the ultimate objective. It is just a stepping stone to greater inner activities, which manifests as partial functioning of the intuitive intelligence and high intelligence, illumination or expansion of consciousness. So that's what we were saying earlier. So as all the physical, emotional, mental activities become more still, you start having intuitive intelligence. Intuitive intelligence meaning what? You start to know things that are beyond these three different bodies. And then from there, you start learning things that are even higher than what your mind can comprehend. So that's higher intelligence, and you start experiencing yourself as being of light. But the first part is what? Different levels of stillness. Stillness, activity, stillness, activity, stillness, greater activity. So it goes like that. Okay, let's move on. Now, let's go to verse 12. A disciple may experience oneness with the brilliant light and expansion of consciousness. In many instances, a disciple may not even reach the outer edge of the brilliant light within one incarnation. What is that saying? So sometimes we meditate. You go, wow, you experience the light. You see the light. Then you meditate some more. Not only do you experience the light, you notice the light is getting brighter. Very good. Then we do more meditation. You keep persevering. Before you know it, you notice that this light is not just somewhere out there. You are now merging with that light. And then at some point you start experiencing, hey, I'm the light. Then you do your more meditation further. Before you know it, you notice that every particle of your being is the light, and this light is actually expanding. So until your faculties, your different chakras, your different bodies are developed enough, all you know is like, okay, I'm part of light. You're not able to experience the little details of what that light feels like. So what he's saying is, in many instances, a disciple may not even reach the outer edge of the brilliant light within one incarnation. So the question is, why can you not reach it? Why cannot we reach it in one incarnation? It goes back to the verse before. No spiritual energy, no expansion of consciousness. With more spiritual energy, there's more expansion of consciousness. So when we do our meditation on a regular basis, it's just like loading up your battery. As the battery gets stronger, there's more spiritual energy within us. As we become more spiritually conductive to the teacher, we do our spiritual practice, we generate lots of good karma. So with the blessings of the teacher, the higher beings and God, and with good karma, when these two come together, you start having the ability to expand more and more. So it's a continuous process. Okay? Shall we? Next, 13. Before the brilliant light, there's a dark void. The inner world consists of a series of greater brilliant light and dark void. This dark void seems to be a transition between two worlds or two realms of brilliant light. Okay, let's go to that in detail. You see, some people, it's something like this. You do your meditation. First, remember, stillness, greater activity, stillness, greater activity. That stillness could be a temporary void. It's a stepping stone. So the void is a stepping stone to brilliant light. That brilliant light is a stepping stone to even darker void. That darker void is a stepping stone to even more brilliant light. So you're going from one to the other, different successions. So sometimes we meditate, still. Ooh, it's pure darkness, but it's not darkness, it's not bad darkness, it's just quiet, still, it's good. Then next meditation, or during that meditation, you start to seeing a light. You go, wow, I see the light. So you go after that light. When you see that light, wow, it's really brilliant. It's good. You merge with that light. You feel good. You start experiencing bliss, happiness, and joy. Excellent. As you do this meditation, maybe days, weeks, maybe years, and suddenly you experience, wait a minute, how come I don't experience that light anymore? You got fixated on the light. Then before you know it, you start experiencing pure darkness. I mean, you don't see anything, like you're in a vacuum in outer space. You don't even see stars. And you start panicking, oh man, what did I do? Did I regress? No, you did not. As Master was saying, without the teacher explaining to us what happens, you panic. You go, oh man, what am I doing wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. The inner world is a succession of what? Void, darkness, and light. Darkness and light. So you just wait. You continue your meditation, tune in to the higher soul, and then you start realizing, wait a minute, this stillness or this dark void is just a stepping stone to greater inner activity or even more brilliant light. So you persevere with the meditation. I remember a message saying a lot of the students, without a qualified teacher, they stop their practice. Too bad. They don't realize they are progressing, but they don't understand. They panic. Without the guidance of a teacher who's been there, what happens? They quit. Or they lose enthusiasm in their spiritual practice. They don't realize you just keep charging forward. You just keep going, you keep going. Constancy of aim and effort, as we were taught on your spiritual practice. After you pass that darkness, there's more even brilliant light. But you don't stop there. You're not satisfied. You keep charging forward. You keep going. You keep penetrating. So void or darkness, brilliant light. So at some point, that's how the soul evolves. In other words, our level of oneness with God is also in certain succession. Void, light, and you keep going higher and higher. All right? That is what he's saying. This void, dark void, seems to be a transition realm between two worlds of brilliant light. It's interesting. I remember Master Choice talk about this many times in class. And you sit there and you go, That doesn't make sense, at least for me at that time. Darkness, light, darkness, how could it be? Then at some point, when you do your meditation, you start experiencing, oh, sometimes I experience meditation, it's just dark, but so peaceful. Sometimes you're meditating, just brilliant, brilliant light and blissful. So you go through back and forth until you experience this. Well, the words of the teacher are just very mental, intellectual. So why are we talking about this? To encourage you to meditate. Reading the book, understanding it is one thing. Of course, Dhyana Yoga, it's good because it allows you to become one with your higher soul. But you also have to do your meditation. You have to do your inner breath, the Kundalini meditation. Arhatic Dhyan for awareness. Meditation, the blue pearl. All these different meditation, Arhatic Yoga, to do what? To allow you to go for deeper and deeper in the inner world. Going from what? Void, brilliant light, void, brilliant light. All these things that you're doing is helping you to propel yourself in the inner world, to become closer and closer and one with God. Okay? So let's move on. Page 38, number 14, verse 14. Within that brilliant light is the form, the planets and the moons, the sun, the galaxies, the universe, and the universes. Please note that the word universes is in plural form. God being God cannot just create one universe. God being God continuously creates countless universes. All right. Verse 15. Within the brilliant light are great, great beings whose existence and functions are incomprehensible to the common person, or common people, and even to most disciples. All right. We'll stop there. Let's talk a little more, and then we'll go to verse 16 on the next session. Okay, 14. Within that brilliant light is the form. And you'll notice in the book it says italicized form. What does that mean? You see, when you say form, it's relative. Right now, you have a physical body, this is the form. So from the soul's viewpoint, this is the form. But then again, you have the astral body, the etheric body, astral body, mental body, right? So when it comes to the physical body, the etheric body, astral body, and mental body, from that perspective, those are formless. That's why you don't see it. You don't touch it physically. It's formless. But from the level of the soul, those are still form, right? So the incarnated soul is clothed with the physical, emotional, mental bodies. From the level of the higher soul, that's the form. When you start experiencing that you are the soul without the body, emotions, or the thoughts, you're experiencing a small level of formlessness. But from the higher soul level's viewpoint, that's still a form compared to the higher soul. In other words, it's still grosser in vibration than the higher soul. From the viewpoint of the divine spark, the higher soul and the incarnated soul are still form. From the viewpoint of God, they're still form, but God is completely formless or nothingness, sunya. So in our level of meditation, our spiritual practice, your evolution is going from gross to more refined, to more refined, to more refined. It's just like from ice cube to water vapor. Different levels of refinement, different levels of form or formlessness. Okay? So, why are we talking about this? You see, within that brilliant light are different forms. So that's why when we meditate, sometimes you see the great teachers. You see a physical form. But you don't really think the physical teacher is stuck with a physical form, are you? That's why Master Chong many times said, teachers, great teachers, they take on the physical form, but the form is not the teacher. It's just the form used by the teacher. So we should not get stuck. For example, when we talk about the Lord Jesus, Lord Yehoshua, 2,000 years ago, he had a Jewish body. Who was he before? Who was he before? Who is he now? Just like Mahaguruji Meiling, Master Cho said, okay, in one of his incarnation, his Guru Padmasambhava. In ancient Egypt, he was the great teacher or high priest Nefertem. Who was he before? He was the Lord Rama. So the form It's something that is there for a certain level of people to understand. Okay? Now, to make you understand this better, I remember many, many years ago in one of the clairvoyance classes. It was pretty amazing. Clairvoyance class. So one of the things that Master Cho used to do many years ago is he would let the students, okay, he would sit on stage, said, okay, be still, be aware, and doing the technique in clairvoyance, he would have them look at his heart. So as we were looking at his heart, some people, they feel like suddenly they see just brilliant light. The teacher disappears in just brilliant light. And some students, when they look at that light, or the physical heart, not the physical, his heart, the chest, they start seeing brilliant light. And some students, not only do they see the brilliant light, they start seeing that they're being sucked into outer space. And when they're looking at this, they start experiencing, not only is it outer space, they start seeing all the different planets, start seeing the galaxies. And it's just like in one snapshot, they see the whole universe in one snapshot. What's the point? The teacher being one with his higher soul, being one with his Paramatma, being one with God, it's just like you plug in, you see everything temporarily. Of course, it depends on how much our brains and our nervous system can process and our chakras can process. But that is the teaching where when you start experiencing oneness with the teacher, if the teacher is sufficiently developed, the teacher can pull you up. That's why in our Hatha Yoga, you remember, pillar number 1 is extremely important. Pillar number 1 is the pillar of empowerment. So some, when they're super receptive and conduct to the teacher, they experience it oneness with the teacher, they start experiencing oneness with God and oneness with all. There's this story, it's in the book The Monad, if you can get a hold of it. It's written by Charles Ledbetter, the fantastic clairvoyant. It talks of a student who was instructed by his inner teacher. He says, look, you should pour love and devotion to your physical teacher. That's what this inner spiritual teacher told the student. So the student, following simple instructions, start to project love, gratitude, and respect to the physical teacher. And then at some point, he started realizing, wait a minute, he started experiencing bliss. And before you know it, he started experiencing oneness with his physical teacher. Then he started experiencing oneness with the higher soul of this physical teacher. Now the interesting part is, as he continued relentlessly through this meditation day in and day out, he started experiencing, as he meditated on the oneness with the spiritual teacher, he started experiencing oneness with his inner spiritual teacher. And then as it progressed, I'll cut it short, it was many, many pages, he started experiencing oneness with all the higher teachers. Then he started experiencing oneness with the planetary logos. Same meditation, just pouring love and devotion to the teacher. As he kept meditating, he became one with his physical teacher, one with the higher teachers, one with the planetary logos. At some point, he started expanding one with the solar logos, and he started experiencing the different galaxies, and he got a glimpse of the universe in his meditation. All when he poured his devotion to his physical teacher. The question is why? So it goes back to what the message our teacher is saying. Within that brilliant light are great beings. What exactly does that mean? That brilliant light has many levels of truth. That brilliant light could be you experiencing the higher soul being one with the higher divine spark, and you start experiencing a glimpse of the different worlds. At the same time, it can also be through Shaktipat. So sometimes when you meditate on the teacher, meditate on the guru, the spiritual teacher, since the teacher is one with God and one with all, you are able to take a shortcut. That's why devotion to God, reverence to spiritual teacher, pillar number 1, can really take us very, very, very far. You start to experiencing the great beings, you start experiencing the brilliant light, and you realize the brilliant light actually contains the different galaxies, and within that light also contains the different universes. So it's just a matter of how much spirituality you have to take off. I hope this is not too complicated for you. We do our best to make it simple, but we're trying to put the whole thing together like that for you. Now, Within that brilliant light are great, great beings whose existence and functions are incomprehensible. So just as a quick note, when we do our meditation, the key is to be super receptive to the teacher and the higher beings. So when you're super receptive and conductive, at some point your thinking process, as we know it in a human level, stops. And you just experience and flow with it. So why don't we do a short meditation before we finish the session? Okay, why don't you get up and do some shaking? I know that was pretty intense, but do a shake and we're going to do a short meditation. Go ahead. Just stretch, loosen up. All right, you ready? Okay, close your eyes. Try to be comfortable. Keep your tongue on your palate. Silently follow me. Let's do what the teacher has taught us. I am that I am. I'm not the body. I'm not the emotion. I'm not the thoughts. I am the soul. I'm a spiritual being of divine intelligence, divine love, and divine power. Be still, be aware. I'm connected and one with my higher soul. I'm connected and one with the divine spark within me. I'm a child of God, I'm one with God, I'm one with all. There is only oneness. Just be still, be aware. Let's do it again. Just be still. You're not the body, you're not the emotion, you're not the thoughts. You're the soul. You're not the body. Your body is dissolving, dissolving, dissolving into nothingness. You're not the body, you're the soul. You are not the emotions. Every emotion you've ever experienced, imagine it completely dissolving into light. You're not the body, you're not the emotions, you're the soul. You're not any of your thoughts. All the thoughts you've ever experienced, including the one right now, is dissolving into light. You're the soul. You're not the body, not the emotion, not the thoughts. You're the soul. You, the soul, just observe the body, the emotions, and the thoughts dissolve into nothingness. You are the observer. Be still, be aware. You are connected and one with the Atma within you, the higher soul. Go higher, higher. Experience the Atma within you. You are the higher soul. The observer is now the observed. Be still, be aware. Go higher, higher. You are connected and one with the Paramatma within you, the divine spark. You are one with the divine spark. The divine spark is the greater observer, observing the higher soul, experiencing a oneness and dissolving into the divine spark. Go higher, higher. You're not the body, not the emotion, not the thoughts. You're the soul. You're connected to your higher soul. You're connected in one with the divine spark. Be still. Be aware and let go. still. Just let go. Go higher. There's a brilliant light, even more brilliant. Silently say, I'm one with God, I'm one with all, there's only oneness. You, the speck of light, is now dissolving into that universal ocean of light. Dissolve and let go. Now. Om Namo Parabrahman. Om. There's only oneness. Just let go. Be still, be aware. Dissolve into the brilliant light. Om Namo Parabrahman. Go higher and let go. gently, very slowly, come back to your physical body. Move your fingers, move your toes, slowly and gently. Come back to your body now. Let's raise your hands slowly and gently. Let's release the excess energy. Some of you got very congested there. Let's bless the teacher's work. Let Master Chokoksui, Pranic Healing, Arhatic Yoga, and all the spiritual teachings and avenues of our beloved teacher, Master Chokoksui, spread rapidly, quickly, powerfully throughout each of our individual countries. Let the teachings and the blessings be anchored deeply and permanently in the countries where we are. Let these teachings and these blessings spread throughout the entire earth. So be it. Let these teachings and these blessings spread throughout the entire earth. So be it. So be it. May the teachings of our teacher be blessed. May the classes, the courses, the books, the CDs, and all the people involved in the teacher's work be divinely blessed. So be it. So be it. So be it. Now visualize your friends, your loved ones, your family in front of you. Bless them all with golden light. May all of them be blessed with good health, happiness, prosperity, and spirituality. So be it. So be it. Now be aware of your feet and the base of your spine. Imagine beautiful golden light going down, down, down into Mother Earth. Let our beloved Mother Earth be blessed with divine light, divine love, and divine power. Let our beloved Mother Earth be blessed, healed, regenerated, and revitalized. So be it. So be it. All right. Let's give thanks to the Divine Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother. We thank you for all your great blessings. To our beloved and respected teacher, Master Chokoksui, Lord Mahagu Yumeling, all the great ones, all the holy gurus, holy masters, saints, archangels, holy angels, and spiritual helpers. We thank you all for your great blessings. We thank you. We in full faith. With gratitude, take a deep breath. With great respect, take a deep breath. With tremendous love, we thank you. Take a deep breath. Be still, be aware, absorb the blessings. We thank you in full faith. So be it. All right, you open your eyes with a big, beautiful smile. So thank you very much. We covered, well, but 6 verses. And it's pretty intense. So thank you very much for joining us. Next, when we come back in a few weeks, on the next session, we cover page 40. Verse 16, the principle of now. Okay. So thank you again for joining us. It's always a pleasure and of course an honor to be an instrument of the teacher. I'm just a little guy trying to share whatever the teacher has taught me, and it's just a great pleasure and honor. So thank you very much for staying with us and studying. I think that even in 10, 20 incarnations, we will not be able to fully comprehend the blessings we receive from the teacher, but we surely want to try. So thank you again. And as always, we love to hear from you. So please leave us some comments, testimonial, how you like the session, the good and bad. We always try to improve what we want to do, but we really want to share. We want to hear what you share with us so we can improve what we do. All right? As you can tell, I'm spacing out after doing this. So anyway, thank you. And on the material side, thank you very much. A lot of you have been donating and generously contributing to this ministry, this video ministry as we call it, to spread the teacher's work. So thank you very much. May God and Master Cho and all the high beings bless you richly with good health, happiness, prosperity, even more prosperity and spirituality. So be it. So thank you very much for generously donating to keep this ministry free. Okay, other than that, I think we are good, and we'll see you in the next session, and that's that. Okay, Atma Namaste. Thank you very much for joining us. God and teacher's blessing be with you. Okay, take care. See you next time. Bye.